Hey everybody, we did open farm feline diets in the last video, and I said we need to go and do the dog food. So we're going to look at open farm dog food today and compare it to some wellness dry dog foods and one of science diets, no corn, wheat, or soy diet. So we'll do some comparisons today and see what you think. Okay, so Open Farm has in their dry line, there's three diets that we're going to look at. One is their homestead formula. Their other is their, they call it raw mix, and this one has pieces of freeze-dried raw meat in it. So that's kind of their, fancy one. And then they have a grain-free version. So let me go ahead and just put up the nutrient levels, because there's a lot of different marketing behind each brand, but that's just marketing. That's just trying to get you to buy it, right? Let's take a look at the actual nutrients delivered, because that's what matters. So if we take a look at these three diets, you're going to see 34% protein, pretty much a little higher in the raw mix. If we look at calcium and phosphorus, it's identical in both dry foods. It's just the raw mix with those extra pieces of meat in it that are a little higher in calcium and phosphorus. Not that much though, really. And then if you look at sodium, it's pretty much the same as well. So here's a good example of whatever marketing draws you in as a consumer. We've got a diet for you, but when you actually look at the nutrient levels they're providing, they're pretty darn similar. And if you look at the cost, the two dry foods are only $4 a pound. Not only, I'm saying they're $4 a pound. And the raw mix, which really is not giving you anything to speak of. As a matter of fact, it's lower in the antioxidants. Look at that, the vitamin E level, didn't even notice that, is lower in the raw mix compared to the other two dry foods, but you're going to pay $1 more per pound. So here's a good example of they're delivering this nutrient level in all three foods, a little higher in the raw mix, not as much antioxidants, but you're going to pay $1 more for it. Why? Because it's marketed that way with these real pieces of meat in it. So so there you go. So there's the Open Farm. This is dry. So I thought, well, let's look at Wellness. And Wellness actually has three brands, very similar to the Open Farm. So here's Wellness. I'll throw it up on the board here. We have Wellness Complete Health. We have Wellness Raw Rev, which is kind of like the raw mix from Open Farm. And then we have Wellness Core, and that one's kind of featured as the exclusive one as well. So if we take a look at the nutrient levels of these three foods, boy, look at this. We actually find these three are very different. They're not like the other Open Farm. 28.9, let's say 30% protein in the Complete Health. Their Raw Rev goes up to 40%. And then there's Wellness Core at 34%, kind of in between the two. So right away, I'm not really liking the Raw Rev at 40% protein. That's kind of unnecessary. And if we look at the calcium and phosphorus levels, it's kind of interesting. Kind of goes in line. And we always talk about, show me the protein, show me the mineral content of that protein, right? The higher quality is going to be lower in minerals. The higher quality higher quality is going to be lower. The low quality protein sources are going to have a lot more minerals. So what do we find here with Raw Rev at 40% protein? Sure, you're going to get more calcium and phosphorus. If you look at Wellness Core, we're bringing the protein down a little bit, and what happens? Calcium and phosphorus comes down. And then if we look at Complete Health at 28.9% protein, what do we find? We find the lowest, and I would consider it the healthiest calcium phosphorus level at 1.1 to 0.9. So very consistent. Almost you could kind of argue that the quality of all three of those foods is pretty consistent. The protein goes up, minerals went up. Protein comes down, minerals went down. So that's kind of interesting to see that. If we look at the sodium level, again, there's a difference there. The Complete Health is a good name for it. I would say Complete Health. Unfortunately, Complete Health doesn't have the antioxidant package that the other two have. But as far as in general, it appears to me to be a healthier diet when I look at the nutrients delivered, at least the nutrients we're looking at. So kind of shame. I don't know why it wouldn't be the same antioxidant level, but who knows, okay? So there you go. So there's the two foods. So I'm going to pick the healthiest from each one, and let's look at that. Okay, so I'm looking at, I'm going to pick from the Open Farm. The grain-free and Homestead are both basically identical diets, cost-wise, nutrient-wise, antioxidants, everything. So I'm going to steer away from the grain-free. You guys know why. So we'll go with Homestead. So we have Homestead from Open Farm, and definitely from Wellness, we're going to go with a Complete Health because that had the best nutrient profile. And so I'm going to tell you right now, I would give Wellness the win here based on the healthiest nutrient levels. Okay, and that's what we're looking at. And just for giggles, I'm going to go ahead and put up the Science Diet, no corn, wheat, or soy diet next to these three. And you can see 23% protein. So the protein for Hills is coming down. What does that do effectively, though? Brings down that mineral content to 0.9 and 0.7 and calcium and phosphorus. The sodium level is at 0.3. And then the antioxidant level is at 705 international units. So it's actually the best among those three. So so there you go, and it's 267, something like that for the Science Diet. So that comes in right in between the other two as far as cost. So there's a good comparison there. It's kind of interesting looking at, the good comparison, I think, is when you look at Open Farm, there's all these different options. You look at Wellness, there's all these different options. And again, it's all different marketing to try to, what grabs you, little pieces of meat, to the Complete Health name, the grain-free. They all have a way of trying to grab you. And nobody's saying, hey, show me the nutrients delivered so that I can decide what I think is best for my pet. So so there you go. Open Farm didn't score very well in the feline. They're not scoring very well in the canine here. So I think I'd give a hard pass to Open Farm. But if you have a dog and he's doing well on it, get some blood work done. If everything's looking good, then he's handling those nutrient levels fine. But if with all the plethora of diets you can choose from, why would you choose one that's not optimal? So there you go, folks. I hope you have a great one. Bye.